What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Blitz Sports Media today. My name is Ryan Linkletter, and I am here with Dan Loya. Dan, I think it just deserves to start the show. Obviously, you guys see the jersey that I'm wearing right now. It was a very tragic day around the football world. Uh, I've been at very loss of words from how devastating that injury was, considering how little the Chiefs had to play for. And we'll start with that game because that probably has the most headlines heading into this weekend. Dan, Chiefs once again could not get it done, and the same type of issues have presented themselves, for multiple weeks. And the way I look at it, right, this team is just poorly coached, right? They are dealing with a ton of injuries, clearly on both sides of the ball, and the players themselves are just not very good. It's basically the perfect storm of a bad football team, right? And even Patrick Mahomes, when he was on the field this year, was incredibly inconsistent. So it wasn't the same version of the Chiefs that we've gotten. And, Mahomes has taken the most sacks over the 6 week period in his career and, took a hit, torn ACL, out for the rest of the season. We'll see what happens next year. And it's a massive blow. And this now goes from a team that went to 3 straight Super Bowls to picking within the top 15 picks in the NFL draft. And the way I look at it is it's probably a good reset for this team to get some new, young, infused talent. I'm interested to see what coaching staff changes they wind up making. But in terms of Kansas City and my thoughts before I let you go, it is definitely something that I look at and just say like big missed opportunity this year. They did everything they could wrong, and this is kind of the result they got. And it's just very unfortunate that Mahomes got hurt, and there's going to be a lot of people hopping off the bandwagon saying it's over. It's just a bump in the road. Just a bump in the road. What are your thoughts?
The bandwagon. um, yeah, dude. Well, the story of the season is the Chiefs in one-score games. They're 1-7 now after their loss to the Chargers. Yeah, the magic's gone, and it's just another bad year. Hopefully you're a Chiefs fan. Hopefully you didn't take it for granted and think this was going to happen every year. It's really hard to go to the AFC Championship. What, 8 years in a row, 7 years in a row? Yeah, dude, it's been crazy. It's been a whirlwind, and it's been fun to watch. But it's the NFL, dude, and it's tough to win in this league. So overall, yeah, it really sucks. As a fan of Mahomes, and you want to see great players play. It's a tough injury, and now it's going to lead into next season. I think that's what the worst thing about it is. This season's already lost, but how long is he? How many games is he going to mix next year? Who's going to be the quarterback of the Chiefs week one? Those are all the things you guys got to worry about in the offseason, and that's what I think stings the most. So overall, yeah, man, the Chiefs unable to pull out a victory again, and the Chargers, dude, they're a gritty football team. Somehow they're winning these games with different O line combinations. Herbert's got a broken left hand, but their defense is tough. They're coached well, and they just find a way to win these games, unlike the Chiefs this season. So overall, man, just a tough loss in more ways than one for Kansas City, and the Chargers found a way to. Well, I guess they sweep them. They sweep them.
Yep.
They sweep them this year, so a big win for them, dude. So yeah, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I mean, as far as the game goes, then we'll kind of talk outlook rest of the way for them.
Yeah,
The game itself, right? It was just a little like mm, the game was like every single game this year I've watched from the Chiefs, unless they like early part of the season they got in that role. They looked really good. They played complete football a few games there, like the Lions game. Like the Lions game was the best game they played the entire year. Since that game, every single game has looked like this. And there were spurts in this game. Like to start the game, they looked really good. A strong offensive drive, right? They forced a few stops, right? They got off the field on third down. Like they were playing well at points in this game, but they couldn't maintain it. And I think the story of the season is that schematically the Chiefs have relied so much on Patrick Mahomes' improvisation that they just have a
yeah, they always
bad game plan on an every week basis. Like Dan, the amount of times outside of like a designed wide receiver screen that this team is having Patrick Mahomes just hold on to the ball and not get it out on his first read and then try to make a play, like it's just insane how often they make him do that. And
yeah,
Andy Reid always talks about, oh, we asked Mahomes to do more than any other quarterback in football. Why do you make him do that, right? Why not just make it easy schematically for him to get the ball down the field? And he's without 3 tackles, right? Even Jawan Taylor missed that game as well because he got hurt right there. So they're down, or not Jawan Taylor, sorry, Jalen Moore. They missed Jalen Moore, Jawan Taylor, They were down Trey Smith. They were down Josh Simmons. They were down four good offensive linemen in that one. And schematically, they just had no answers within 2.5 seconds of getting the ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hands and just making plays. And the only time we've seen that this year is designed wide receiver screens and RPOs. Besides that, there's nothing that Andy Reid and this offensive coaching staff have schemed up to where routes are getting open consistently in that window, and it's a game plan revolved around that. Their game plan is way too revolved around Patrick Mahomes' strengths as a football player. And while I think that his improvisation is great, it's relying so much on that. And if guys aren't winning down the field on routes and stuff like that, it's not working right now. And they need to head back to the drawing board. I think that while the injury is a horrible thing, right? Maybe it's a good thing for Andy Reid to say, oh, maybe I shouldn't be asking Patrick Mahomes to do this type of stuff. Maybe I should be protecting him a little bit more in my game plan instead of just having him go out there and improvise at this level and take the amount of hits that he's taking right now. It's just not, it was not a good look from this coaching staff the entire year. And I think defensively, Spags had a really good game plan. They blitzed well. Like the Chargers offense has struggled, but they did a really good job, I thought, today. But the same story kind of applied to them. They missed on third down a few times, a handful of times right before half. You saw their struggles they've had in the fourth quarter a lot. So it's a little cosmic of their entire season in that game. And once again, they found a way to piss down their leg in the fourth quarter, and they had multiple opportunities to actually win that game in the fourth quarter. And Mahomes' interception, right? That was a bad decision on that one, and then Gardner Minshew bad decision in field goal
Yeah, they
ranges.
had
So
a chance to tie it. Yeah.
they had two chances to tie it, and they just blew it there. So Cosmo, the Chiefs season, only one score win this year. That number is gonna stay into effect probably down the stretch here. But my questions for you, Dan, is as far as this Chiefs team goes and their outlook heading into next season. Obviously, Mahomes, right? You're looking at an 8 to 10 month recovery period. The 8 month period puts him right at August. The 9 month period puts him at September. So, like you mentioned, not guaranteed week one. What would you like to see from Kansas City this offseason or any potential changes?
Yeah, I guess. What's the old phrase? Like you don't know what you have till it's gone. Well, they're gonna find out what life is without Mahomes, you know. And just like you said, I think they do have to go back to the drawing board, make it easier um, on the offense. You know, just get more creative. And I think they need to run the ball. I feel like all year they haven't been able to successfully
Did you
run the
know the number
football.
today? Yards per carry?
Well, I have the
2.3.
stats up, but go ahead.
2.3.
What? 2.3.
2.3 yards
Yeah,
per carry.
yeah, it just always seems like Mahomes is the second leading rusher or the leading rusher each and every game. So that's got to change. And until it doesn't, it's going to be hard to move the football. I don't care who the quarterback is. Running the football opens everything up for your offense and makes everything easier, makes the linebackers bite up, makes the safeties bite up. And if you don't have that, they don't respect that. They play pass, and it's easier to defend Patrick Mahomes and the pass game. So until that's fixed, you know, it's going to be a long offensive series or season for the Chiefs. But yeah, man, just like I said earlier, I don't know who's going to be the Week 1 starter. It's going to be difficult, but it's going to be tough for him to come back. I think with that time frame, and you don't want to rush him back either. You know, you want him to have a clean recovery and make sure he comes back when he's fully healthy. So that's what worries me about the team. It's a bummer for all Chiefs fans and Chiefs Kingdom and all that good stuff. So that's what it's disappointing. Just as a fan, I want to see good players play. Mahomes isn't going to play forever, and I've seen him play in person a few times, and he's awesome. So it's just tough for football fans around the world that Patrick Mahomes got injured. So the Chiefs are going to rebound. I believe in Andy Reid, whether he brings in a different offensive coordinator or goes back to the lab, he'll cook something up this offseason, and the Chiefs will be try to hit it ride the hot hand next year.
Yeah, I think as far as the offseason goes for them, it's just for me, it comes down to this is a hard reset that's kind of needed for this team,
Yeah.
right? It feels like almost that Tyreek Hill move. They're going to have to make some moves like that and completely change this team in general, whether that is moving Trent McDuffie via trade, whether that, is firing Matt Nagy, firing Dave Tobe, or I can't even pronounce his name right now. But there needs to be changes, right? The coaching staff, right? You look at the wide receiver coach who struggled to have guys win there. Like the offensive line has continued to struggle despite a significant amount of investments. You look at the penalties this season, like there has been so many coaching flaws from this staff over the last 3 years that have been covered up. by these Super Bowl appearances and Super Bowl wins that they haven't addressed them, and they've kept that same exact staff, and the team has basically been pretty mediocre. I'd say that they have a great quarterback, they have a Hall of Fame tight end, they have a Hall of Fame defensive tackle, and a Hall of Fame head coach that have covered those up. This year, it all came to fruition, and they need to make some changes. I think they need to bring some lifeblood into that coaching staff, whether that is bringing in a guy from a different tree or bringing back a guy like Mike Kafka, who has been in Kansas City, right? But it
Yeah,
also has
sure.
been with Brian Dable in New York. And I think that would be a good fit. But their way of doing things, they need to bring some new lifeblood in there. And then I look at, both sides of the ball. Offensively, the biggest priority is running back. I'm already dreaming Jeremiah Love to the Kansas City Chiefs. I think they find a way to reach on him if another team is not running back needy ahead of him. It just makes so much sense, right? Get Patrick Mahomes, elite running back, and see what he can do. Patrick Mahomes has never had 1,000-yard rusher in his entire career, which is just crazy to think about. So
Yeah,
finding a way to establish that running back position, I think, is key. They're going to bring back Rashard Smith again. I think he's a nice piece. He might develop as a receiving back, but you also just try to bring back Kareem Hunt as a short yardage guy, and then you'd probably draft a guy. If you don't feel like you can get Jeremiah Love, then you sign a free agent because the free agent class is not too shabby. Uh, but then you look at like wide receiver. I don't know where they're going to go there. Well, Rasheed Rice has shown a lot of life. I don't know if he's a true wide receiver one. Too many drops, too many inconsistencies for me. Doesn't win well against man coverage. And then there's the Travis Kelsey question on offense. Does he retire?
yeah,
Does he not? To be honest, like I think he's looked pretty good at times. Obviously, his lows this year have been really low. It feels like every time he makes a mistake, it's like the most costly play of the game. But I'm not sure. We'll see what Kelsey does. I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back for one more season, just based on how this year went overall. And Mahomes tearing his ACL is probably
yeah,
very tragic for a bunch of those guys. And then defensively, it's all about the front four. They need to get their front four better and adjust from there. So they have some moves to make in the offseason, but they can't keep going through and expecting Patrick Mahomes to be a superhero because his play has regressed, carrying a lot of this mediocre production around him. And without that, like he's human too. Like we have seen that he's literally human and his play has just not been as good. And I think also the underrated part about him, going through this process and the recovery process, his footwork is going to get better, right? And he's going to be more of a pocket passer than we've seen. And Mahomes in the postseason has done a really good job within the pocket. And I'm interested to see
yeah.
if his development and his consistency comes back with his pocket play, probably improved coming off the injury. So with the Chiefs, this is a down year. They're going to come back, they're going to retool, and we'll take a look at the Mahomes timeline coming in next year and then figure it out. But it's just a really sad day overall, just seeing Mahomes go down like
Right,
that.
yeah,
It was
sure.
it was that was rough to see. But let's talk other NFL now as we close up that Chiefs segment. We'll talk about the most important game, the Bills and the Patriots. What were your thoughts on that one, Dan?
Yeah, well, I thought it was a back and forth battle. Both teams are, they really wanted this game. You could tell. I think the difference was the second half, and the Bills were able to run the football. I think you brought it up in the preview show. It's a huge loss. Milton Williams not playing. They
Yep.
totally missed him. You saw James Cook was able to run that football up the middle whenever they want. And that's the key. That's the key like component to stopping the Bills' offense. If James Cook starts to get going, that Bills offense becomes unstoppable. And I got to look up how many yards exactly he ran for today, but it just seemed like he continually gashed them. Uh, every time he touched the football, 4.9 yards per carry, 107 yards. Yeah, so I think that was the big difference. Is just the Patriots couldn't get off the field and they couldn't stop James Cook, and what they blew a 21-point lead as well.
Yep.
So man, I mean,
21-0.
yeah, dude. So it's a tough loss for the Patriots, but they're gonna learn from this. They're still a young team. I'm not worried about the Patriots at all. It's that team. Once James Cook gets going, the Bills are really good, and then obviously Josh Allen made some big plays like he always does. So I don't think I'm worried about either team right now. But it's a big win for the Bills, man. I know they really wanted it.
Yeah, 100%. This was a massive win. And this is exact. I think Buffalo is going to win the Super Bowl this year. I'm just going to say that right now. I think Buffalo is having this type of a year to where they're finding ways to win crazy ways right now, and Josh Allen's playing
Mhm.
really well,
Yeah,
and they have other ways to win outside of Josh Allen, right? We've seen it, Dan. Like this team, they want to play from ahead of schedule. They want to get the ball to James Cook. They want to run the football, and James Cook has
yeah,
been great this season, right? but we've also seen them play well from behind. Today, 21-0, they were down and they found a way
Mhm.
to claw back and not completely rely on that running game. And Josh Allen played great as well. So they
Yeah.
have multitude of ways to beat you offensively. They don't need an elite group of weapons because you never know what's coming from Buffalo. The biggest concern is that defense, and they had a rough day stopping that ground game. But like I mentioned, they match up well with almost every
Yeah.
passing game in football because they're built to beat the Chiefs. They're built to beat Patrick Mahomes in the passing game. So when they face a pass team, that quarterback's not going to play necessarily as well. And they made the big plays when they needed to on defense. The Patriots did a great job of establishing their run. Travion Henderson had a great game as well, but when they needed it most, Drake May did not make the plays that he needed to win this ball game, and that was the biggest difference for me is that Josh Allen made those plays, Drake May didn't. I expect to see something similar in the postseason, and I wouldn't say this division race is completely wrapped up, Dan. Buffalo is only one game back now. Obviously, they split. New England has
Yeah.
the Ravens coming up. I know Buffalo has a tougher schedule to close, but we'll see what
Mhm.
happens. It's not necessarily set in stone, and if the Bills are able to get home field advantage a little bit during this playoff run, it could be massive for them down the stretch here. And they're probably the most seasoned team in the playoffs if Baltimore doesn't get there, which would be a massive boost for them against a lot of younger teams in the AFC with the lack of experience. And then once you get to the Super Bowl, anything can happen. So with Buffalo, Dan, they're exactly what they thought they'd be. They're gritty. They find ways to win. Josh Allen's playing at a really high level. And,
Yeah. Josh
New
Allen.
England, right? These are the concerns I have. Their defense is struggling without Milton Williams. I'm not saying it's a long term concern, but I have noticed that Drake May in these close games in the fourth quarter has been a little bit wishy washy with his decision making at times. I'm not going to say it's a thing just yet, but I'm just saying,
I gotta
just
watch it
thinking
again.
about
I'll
it, just
watch it
thinking
again.
about it. But he made some great throws today. I mean, he
Yeah,
throws
he
a
was
beautiful
awesome.
ball, and it's been really good. And I think with New England, they're going to be good, but I think Buffalo is just
Yeah.
a better team right now.
I think yeah, I mean, if you look at it, look at the stats here. The Buffalo Bills were 5 of 6 in the red zone. Like that's you're not going to beat any team when they're 83% in the red zone, 4 for 4 on goal to
Yeah.
go. They're 57% on third down. The thing that the Patriots did do is outgain them. They averaged 7.5 yards per play, 385 total yards. So I think the Patriots overall had a better day, but just like you said, when you're playing Josh Allen, you gotta execute. You gotta play pretty much perfect when he's on fire. And Drake May doesn't. I'm not saying it's his fault. He's still young, and I like I said, I have to watch it again, but I don't think it's a thing. Drake May's still pretty good at football. You're not gonna win every game against Josh Allen, but when this team's like red hot right now, and then just like you said, like the Bills kind of have something special going on. Like I don't think they're a good team, but Josh Allen's pretty dang good at football, and then they got that running back James Cook. And when they're hot, dude, it's like I don't know, old NFL street games. They like get on fire and they're just unstoppable. That's what I think of them. So once they get like that, it's done, and you're not gonna beat them. So
Yeah.
yeah, big win for the Bills.
100%. All right, let's talk about the Packers and the Broncos. The Broncos are now the one seed in the AFC. And Dan, what do
Yeah,
you know? In a Denver Broncos way, they got a one-score game. I think I called this game perfectly, right? I said Bo Nix is going to
yeah,
play better in this one because it's a better team
no,
that
he
they're
did.
playing. Bo Nix is the king of playing better in good matchups and playing down to his competition. That is the definition of Bo Nix. His line, 302 yards and 4 touchdowns, arguably his best game of his career when they needed it most. And he especially got much better when Micah Parsons went down. Another injury the football gods did not need to give us today, taking out another superstar. And obviously, that's a massive blow for the Packers' playoff chances. We'll talk about that in a second. But with Denver, this team is going to go as far as Bo Nix takes them. Their defense is great. Their defense is good against the run. Then in the second half, they really locked down. And I thought the Packers came with a really good game plan in this one and had a lot of success in the first half. But in the second half, Denver's defense made the necessary adjustments. Jordan Love was under duress, made some bad decisions, and that's what you get. And Denver has the talent offensively to go through and win that game just enough like they have the entire season. The biggest thing with Denver, Dan, for me, is they are just a significantly better home team than they have been on the road this year. And right now, if it
Yeah,
runs through Mile High in that defense, it's going to be a
yeah,
tough place to win right now. So with
mhm,
Denver, right? I mentioned earlier with the Bills, right? There are not a lot of seasoned teams in the playoffs. Denver was there last year. They got their feet wet. Obviously, they lost to
yeah,
Buffalo, but that was on the road. Now they have home field
mhm,
advantage. The Chiefs are out of it too. Like they have a legit chance of coming out of the AFC if Bo Nix plays like he does today. They're going to go as far as Bo Nix takes them. And then as far as the Packers go, Micah Parsons is devastating for this team's Super Bowl chances. That kills this defense because they're not an overly talented defense, but they need to rely on their pass rush to cover up some of their secondary holes. And once Parsons went down, you could just tell like Denver was able to just move the ball consistently more on the offensive side of the ball. And I just don't know if Green Bay has the defensive talent, right, to be successful. And we're going to see how this plays over. They're traveling to Chicago, and Chicago was this close to beating them a week ago. And it's going to be a tough matchup for them. If they lose that game, like Chicago's division, and then Green Bay is fighting for a wild card spot. So nothing's guaranteed for them. I just think
Yeah,
with the Micah Parsons loss, it's going to be a
yeah,
tough road for them to make the Super Bowl this year.
yeah, absolutely. I think this was a close game. I mean, the Packers were
It
leading
was a
in the
great
third.
game.
Yeah, the Packers were leading 23-14 in the third quarter, and I think the turning point of the game was that interception that Patrick Surtain made a great play on. Ever
Yeah.
since that point, the
Well,
Denver
and
Broncos
Christian
off.
Watson got hurt too, and he's been great for them.
Yeah, was that the same play?
It was the same play. Yep.
Okay, so there's the turning point. I mean, you're up 23-14, and then after that play, the Denver Broncos outscored the Packers 21-7, if I'm reading this right. Yeah, I think it's 21-7, 21-10. So, I mean, that was the huge turning point in that game, and just like you said, man, Bo Nix played well, he moves around the pocket, he's showcasing his arm, he played his best game against a really good team. You know, it's just this Denver Broncos team, I know people doubt them, but they find ways to win, and I think that goes down to coaching, and it's not a fluke, it's coaching and details, and this is what it's when it happens each and every week, this is what they are. This is their DNA, and they're winning these close games, and just like, it's gonna be dangerous in the playoffs if they get home field advantage. I don't know what their magic number is for home field or the division. I know they're 12-2 right now, but it's getting closer each and every week, and they're dangerous, man. Their defense is really good, and they don't even have a run game yet. Once that gets going, man, watch out. So the AFC's wide open, but the Broncos are probably clear contenders in my opinion. And then on the flip side, the Packers, yeah, devastating loss with Mika Parsons. Yeah, Christian Watson. I don't know what the latest with him is. Do you know? They said anything?
We'll see. That one's going to be a little bit unknown.
Okay, didn't say. Yeah, so I mean, dude, like Christian Watson came back. What he scored like 4 or 5 touchdowns
He's
in like
been
two
he's
or
been
three
great.
games.
He's looked much
Yeah,
better.
he's been on fire, dude. He's been like the key they've been missing. He's been able to stretch the field with him. I thought I wrote it in my notes. I don't have it, but yeah, dude. If they lose those two guys, man, the Packers are. I mean, they already lost Tyler Kraft. You know, Josh Jacobs is banged up. They lost some key pieces along that offensive line, dude. It's just like eventually you're gonna run out of bodies, and it's just that's the NFL, man. It's tough. It's a tough business, and the NFC is loaded right now, and you can't afford to lose these games, and they might be on the outside looking in a few weeks as a result of these injuries. Whenever you give up 2 first-round picks for Mika and you give him all this money, you want him to play all these games. You don't plan for this. It's an unfortunate situation, but it's a tough loss for the Packers. Man. Brutal.
Yeah, and let's talk about a team that's probably on the outs now in the Detroit Lions, right? In the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah,
So the Rams and the Seahawks, they were able to take care of business. Obviously, the Seahawks couldn't
that was a close
capitalize in the
game,
red
dude.
zone at all today. They were
Yeah, that was,
basically saying, right, their offense was just forcing their defense to rely on it. I thought Philip Rivers did an okay job. He's 44
yeah,
years
he was
old.
all
He
right.
can't move anymore. Like he did as much as he
They
could
were
in this
really
one
nice
that
to him.
first game back. Like I credit him for fighting valiantly, and I credit this Colts team for and especially their defense. Like they held them in, but it just feels like their playoff chances are just cooked right now. Chargers winning today was a massive blow to their playoff chances. The Seahawks, they won today, look good, but I mean the Rams are just tough to beat. The biggest thing I'm concerned with the Rams is how long is Devontae Adams going to miss with that hamstring injury? Their offense was firing on all cylinders today outside of a Matthew Stafford turnover again. And then, Detroit, man, their offense looked good at times, but their pass defense is just beyond screwed right now. They got too many injuries back there. They don't rush the passer overly well outside of Aiden Hutchinson. And Detroit, now they're 2 games back of that last wild card spot in the NFC. So the way I look at it, all right, Detroit's got to win out at this point if they're going to make it. If Chicago drops this next game to Green Bay, I think their chances take a nice bump because I think Detroit matches up pretty well with the Bears.
Okay.
And then the Bears get the 49ers. So, like, they're not necessarily out of it by any means, but I mean, Detroit, their defense just has a ton of problems right now. They have too many injuries back there. And, everybody was worried about the offensive regression for the Detroit Lions this year. I honestly think their offense hasn't been the main problem, Dan. They've looked really explosive still a majority of the year. Jameer Gibbs has looked great. Jameson Williams taking a step forward. Amon-Ra St. Brown had a monster game today. They're without Sam Laporta, and they still put up 34 against one of the best defenses in the NFL on the road. Like, that's a good performance. Their defense, on the other hand, just hasn't been good for a majority part of this season, and it's just probably going to cost them a playoff spot. So, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, dude. Just like we talked about a couple weeks ago when they played Detroit played the Cowboys, it was just like that secondary is not going to match up against this Rams team. Like, come on, Puka had 181 yards, 9 receptions. Parkinson
Puka
had 70.
Nakua, man, maybe the most underrated dominant receiver we got.
Yeah, dude, he's having another incredible year. Devontae Adams, 71 yards. Yeah, dude, they just can't match up with anybody right now. They can't stop anybody. And I think the thing is the Lions have to I don't think Dan Campbell wants to do this, but they have to just control the clock and not get into shootouts the way their team is currently built and like the players they have available right now. Like they can't go toe to toe with these teams. They just got to control the clock, and they have the guys to do that. They have an offensive line. They have two good running backs. They can just go I formation and power people and control the clock for 8 to 10 minutes and slowly beat these teams like what 20 to 10, 20 14, whatever. But they want to go in shootouts, and this is what's going to happen, man. They just can't keep up with these teams. They lost too many people on defense, and it's unfortunate, man. Just it just seems like 2 years in a row now they lost valuable pieces on the defensive side, and it's going to cost them later in the year. It happened last year in the playoffs, and it's happening again earlier, a couple games before the playoffs. But the Rams are
Yep.
one of the better teams in the NFL. They continue to show it. I think the thing I'm most impressed by with the Rams that's going to make them really dangerous is that running game, dude. Like that, I see that, and I saw it last week, and it's 2 weeks in a row. Kyron Williams, 78 yards, 2 touchdowns. Blake Corum, 71 yards, 1 touchdown. That's how you win the playoffs, dude. If you got a two-headed monster like that, they don't need Devontae at 100%, dude. They can just run the ball, keep it in 13 personnel, and win these football games, man. They're going to be a dangerous team, and Stafford's playing great right now. I think I don't know what your MVP thing is, but he's got to be the MVP, dude. He's looked
I
awesome.
got Stafford right now. I got Stafford.
Awesome. Dude, he's been incredible all year. He leads the NFL in passing touchdowns. So yeah, but it just sets up a huge game. And like we didn't talk about it on the preview show, but like the Seahawks and the Rams playing on Thursday night, that could have because both teams were losing at halftime. I don't know if you realize that. And I'm like, wow, is this a
Yeah,
trap game for both of them? Were they like unprepared? They're too worried about each other, but they both pulled out a victory at the end of the in the second half. Credit to them. But it just sets up a freaking what Thursday night football game of the year for the division, probably for the NFC number one seed. Like this is a huge game on Thursday night, and the Rams look really good right now. I think I'm concerned about their defense a little bit because it just seems like every week they're giving up explosive plays. So I
their
want to see
offense
how it looks
also
against
scores
Seattle.
faster than a lot of other offenses, and I don't think
So
that
yeah,
helps them in terms of
yeah. So
per
maybe
possession based.
they're scoring too fast, and the defense is like, oh man, I didn't even get a drink of water. Hey, that could be, dude. Like, man, I'm
Something
still
like
stretching
that.
over here. I'm on the bike. Yeah, so, dude, the Rams look really good. Seattle, dude, they almost blew it. It was a field goal game. I mean, they relied on their kicker at the end. He kicked like a 56, 57 yarder. I'm like, dude, it's kind of a deep, it's a tough kick for Myers here. But he kicked it through, and they pulled out a win, man. But, dude, Seattle's offense, they haven't looked good in a couple weeks now. So it's like, what's
No,
going on here? Yeah, so there's something going on with the Rams defense and Seattle's offense. So it sets up a big
it'll be
game on
interesting to
Thursday.
see how they work out. It is in Seattle. That is a big advantage for the
Yeah.
Seahawks. But I do want to talk about two division races before we have a few more segments to close out this one. I want to talk about the let's talk about three divisions actually. We'll clunch three together. We'll go AFC South, Dan. We'll go AFC
Yeah.
North, and then we'll talk about the NFC South. I'll start with the AFC South today. Trevor Lawrence is finding his rhythm in this Liam Cohen system. And since the Jacoby Myers trade and he's gotten a
Yeah.
stable receiver, he's looked much more comfortable. 6 total touchdowns today. I really hope that some of you guys started him like I told you in fantasy football this week and reap the benefits of that because that was an elite performance from Trevor Lawrence today against the Jets. And I know they kind of just ran up the score a little bit in garbage time, but still, that was a good get right game for the Jaguars, who are first in the division. The Texans manhandled the Cardinals, had a great day offensively throughout that one. And then, as far as that race goes, I think the Texans are the scarier team because their defense, but I
Mhm.
think we can't ignore what the Jaguars have done at this point. My biggest concern with the Jaguars in the early part of the season was is that Trevor Lawrence just was not very good. He's played a
It
lot
was
better, and I think that elevates the team's floor. And they're going to be a tough out. I think they don't have a great team; they have a solid team, and their floor feels incredibly high. And I think Liam Cohen is a very good coach. Honestly, though, give. I actually no. I'm sticking with the Jaguars. They have the easier schedule. Give me the Jags still. They are gonna win that
there you
division.
go.
As far as the AFC North goes, the Ravens played great defensively today. Joe Burrow did not look the same. Had a rough outing, but the Ravens offense was just okay, I think is what you could probably call it today. Lamar had some
Run the
plays
football.
mixed in there, but they're sitting at a solid 7-7 now for that matchup with
Mhm.
the Steelers, and obviously the Steelers play on Monday night. We'll see how that goes. But that was a big win for them because if they drop that game, Dan, I'm not sure they could claw back into the division race. So that was a must-win game on the road. They took care of business. The Ravens are the more talented team, but I don't know what I'm getting from the Ravens. I think this is a good step in the right direction for them after coming out of the slump. We'll see what happens Monday with the Steelers. And then as far as the South goes, I mean, I don't think any team wants to win this division. The Bucks continue to lose games. The
Oh,
Panthers lose games they shouldn't be losing. Bryce Young is just not very good. The Bucks
huh.
just are in a slump on both sides of the ball. They have a bad defense. Like I don't know what team wants to win the NFC South. The Bucks have obviously done it and they've won it like in just disgusting ways in the past. So why can't they win it again disgustingly this year again? So I'll probably wind up going with the Bucks in that route. But I mean, Carolina, like I said, really underrated
Yep.
defense.
Yep.
Bryce Young is the problem there. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's a lot to discuss here. I think I want to start off with the Jacksonville Jaguars because the Jaguars played here in Arizona on November 23rd, week 12. And I know Trevor Lawrence had 3 turnovers that game, but I'm telling you, there were points in time that like he was like it looked like a different quarterback out there. And I was like, wow, he looks really good. And then it seems like ever since that game, it was a liftoff point. I don't know how many touchdowns he's thrown since that game. I got to look it up, but he's been on a tear since. And
Yeah,
today you saw it. He looked comfortable last week. He looked comfortable this week, and it's kind of dangerous, man. Like if Liam Coleman finally, programmed the robot and he's comfortable in that offense and he knows where to throw it, where's the weaknesses of the defense. I got routes here, routes here. Um, dude, it's dangerous. And the old saying is like, you want to play your best ball after Thanksgiving. Right now, look out, dude. The Jacksonville Jaguars are playing some really good ball right now. Trevor Lawrence looks really good. The defense looks good. They were kind of underrated all year. They take away the football, similar to the Chicago Bears. So I think the thing is, watch out for the Jaguars, dude. I know coming into the year, we thought the AFC South would kind of be the weakest division in the AFC, but they got some sneaky good teams there. Obviously, the Colts fall apart because of injuries. We got Houston and the Jaguars. They both look pretty good, and I think Jacksonville looks a little better right now because their offense is rolling, dude. They can put up points on anybody. So watch out for them. Going to the AFC North, I just think the Baltimore Ravens were able to run the football. They were able to impose their will. Um, Derrick Henry had over 100. Mitchell had 66. He averaged 8.3 yards per carry. Lamar Jackson had 13 yards per carry. He had only 12 passing attempts. So it was just too much. The Bengals defense, man. That's the story of the year. They couldn't get a lead, and then Baltimore was able to establish the run, and that was it.
yeah.
So that's my takeaway there. And then the NFC South, yeah, it's up for grabs. I think I like the Panthers more, dude. But there's something going on with the Bucks I don't like, in my opinion, and I like the Panthers, but we're gonna find out. They play each other
We are
twice
gonna we
a
are
week,
gonna find out. That is for sure.
so
We are gonna find out.
this the talk is over, dude. We're gonna find out who the better team is here quickly. But I'm gonna take the Panthers in that one. I think they'll be able to run all over the Bucks, and Bryce Young will be able to make some plays. So those are
Awesome.
my
All right.
thoughts.
Let's
Yeah.
close this show with some quick hits from some of the other games around the NFL. Dan, JJ McCarthy had a very good game against the Dallas Cowboys.
Good for him. Good for him.
Are you willing to say that JJ McCarthy is starting to beat the bust allegations, or do you want to see more?
No, no, we gotta see more. Hey,
You
I'm
got to
just
see
happy
more.
that I'm not gonna log in and see his face all over the timeline tonight. I don't. I'm
He's
so.
starting to not become a meme. That's a step in the right direction for him.
I mean, come on, man, the poor guy. I think he scored on that rushing touchdown in the game, and he was gritty, and
Yeah,
I'm
and he
like,
was
I was
he was
like,
doing it
hey,
gritty.
He's doing the gritty. Yeah, no, it's good for
Yeah,
him, man, because he's getting made fun of online. So I'm happy he got a win. But I think the concerning thing is the Cowboys didn't record one sack. The Vikings coming into this game were giving up 4+ sacks in each game the last 3 weeks. Cowboys did not record one sack. And I
good
think
look.
that's the yeah, dude, it's a huge turning point. I thought the Vikings did a lot of rollouts today, and that caused some problems for the Dallas Cowboys offense. But obviously, I want to see more from McCarthy. Start stacking these games, stay healthy, and continue to improve. So don't count them out just yet.
Yep. All right. Eagles game. I'll talk about that one. Eagles, it
Hey,
was their get right. It was their get right game against the Raiders. I mean, my goodness, the
uh,
Raiders right now. I mean,
uh,
it's Pete Carroll's got to go. I don't know what they got to do, but
yeah, not right now
they
at
have
least.
too much respect for him to fire him before the end of the year, but he has to go. They have to find
Mhm.
different ways to win. I just hope they beat the Chiefs down the stretch here so the Chiefs get a higher
No.
draft pick. Uh, and the Raiders have something to move forward for so they can keep
Uh,
Pete Carroll and run it back with this team next year.
no,
But
man, nah,
as far as the
nah.
Raiders go, they have some talented pieces there. They're just not everything's going wrong for them. For Philadelphia, it was a good get right game.
Yeah,
Jalen Hurts played within schedule, no turnovers. Overall, really strong game for them. They're going to win the division. Dallas obviously choked.
yeah,
Probably
hopefully,
not going to make much playoff noise, but they're going to be in, right? And I think
yeah.
with Philadelphia, they're still the most talented roster in the NFL once again this year. So we'll see
Mhm.
what happens. Maybe they get hot down the stretch and they make a run like they did last year. All right, the Chicago Bears, Dan, 31-3 win over the Browns. Talk about Caleb Williams and Shadur Sanders today.
Yeah, well, big win, man. It's cold. I know you're probably cold out there. Let me pull up these stats here. I had the Raiders stats up for a second. Yeah, just I mean, when you have 361 total yards, 5.6 yards per play, you better win the game. 21 first downs. I thought Caleb did pretty good today in the weather conditions. He did only complete 60%, so that's a trend. He took 3 sacks, 2 touchdowns, but I think the key was running the football. They were able to run. DeAndre Swift against his vaunted Cleveland Browns defense that's pretty good against the run. He scored twice, so I think just the story of the season for the Browns is they don't really have an offense. I don't care who the quarterback is; it's tough for them to move the ball against anybody. And surprisingly, they weren't able to run the football against the Bears defense. That's not very good against the run. So once you do that, you're one dimensional, and it's tough to win in this league. So Bears. It's I thought it's a kind of a weird game. I know the Bears were favored by a touchdown, but we just don't know with this Bears team like consistently. But I just think it shows that there's new culture in Chicago, and we can trust this team now. The Bears of old would have found a way to lose this game at home, but they're different. And they got Ben Johnson as the head coach, and they win, and now they're going to try to win a division title for the first time in a couple seasons.
I know, dude. They're gonna have a chance for sure. And I thought Caleb looked a little bit better today for sure
Yeah, I
to
thought he
open
looked
this
better.
game. It was kind of a little bit wilder down the stretch, but he played well. Shadur Sanders, brutal game
Missed
from
a
him.
few
He
though.
had one
Yeah,
nice play, and then besides that, hold on the ball too long, not making plays there. And then the final team I want to touch on real quick is the 49ers. Dan, I'll tell you this:
rough
49ers got
30.
as much offensive talent as anybody. They got an easy schedule down the stretch here. That big game against Chicago probably is going to decide whether or not they get in. But if they keep stacking these wins, they're a sneaky team on the offense side of the ball. Their defense, not good.
Yeah,
Let's just be honest. Let's just be honest. They're a little shaky. So I don't know if they'll make a run, but their offense is as good as any offense in the NFL when they're right and they're healthy right now. I think it's going to be a big momentum swing with how they're going to be playing down the stretch. And they've been there. They've been to multiple Super Bowls. So with San Francisco, they're going to be getting into this postseason, playing their best football, and we'll see if they're able to make a run. Well, Dan, Week 15 is concluded. I really hope some of you guys avoid some injuries because the football players did not this week in the NFL. Drop a comment down below what your thoughts are heading into week 16. Hit that subscribe button for more Blitz Angle content, and me and Dan will catch you guys next time.